afternoon, everyone. My name is Angela Stevens, and I'm the president of Colorado Springs NAACP, which is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. It is over 116 years old. In Colorado Springs, it is 107 years old. And we are excited to be here today with our community partners. We do have the League of Women Voters, and our spokesperson, Shelley Roars, is off to our right. And then we also have Colorado for Ranked Choice Voting, and my special guest here today, Linda. Introduce yourself, Linda.
Hey, my name is Linda Templin, and I'm the Executive Director for Ranked Choice Voting for Colorado. And Ranked Choice has been around 5 years less than the NAACP. So this is a movement that's been going on for over 100 years in countries that are formerly colonized by the English. Only places colonized by the English have the crummy voting system we have. So feature not a bug, and now that it's been a quarter of a millennium, it may be time to update, is how we're all going to get our fair share of the say. So that's what I'm here for. I have an undergraduate in political science, and my master's degree is in public administration. So we've been working with scholars and doing the deep dive into high-level research, like from the Pew Trust, American Academy of Arts and Sciences, and the list goes on. So that's how it is we know what we know. We've been doing our own research. We've expanded Ranked Choice into 3 more cities here in Colorado. So Fort Collins is using it for the first time this fall. Boulder used it in 2023. So we know it works well, it works with modern equipment, and the state is ready to do Ranked Choice so everyone gets their fair share of the say. And our tech seems to be getting loaded. Maybe that's what's happening with it. It's not with me.
Are we starting with the presentation first?
No, we'd like to talk about the NAACP and the League of Women Voters and talk about, responsiveness of politics, or, what the challenges are, because there's a lot of pieces to the election reform puzzle.
Absolutely. And
it all dovetails in. So we have a larger plan, campaign finance, but we're also here to learn, because, there we go. And everywhere we go, we learn more, and get a more fine-tuned plan. So,
absolutely. So the NAACP was basically established on voting rights, and
no, go ahead.
established on voting rights and getting voting rights for the Black community. I guess I wasn't ready for that question. So anyway, so with that, we have fought, our ancestors, our forefathers, in all spectrums of the rainbow, have fought for voting rights. And we continue in 2025 to fight for our voting rights and to dismantle, right? Mm-hmm. Dismantle voter suppression. And we know that there are things happening in today's day and age to suppress the rights of all voters. So with that, as well as to abolish slavery, make sure that we have equitable housing and health care for our communities. The National Association just released they have $7 million via a grant, and it's called the Build Grant. And in that Build Grant, units can request funding, because we know the work of the association, we all need funding. In any organization, we all need funding. And the local units and the state conferences They are funded by community volunteers donating money or their due fees. And membership is down. Membership is down, and people do not necessarily donate or can't donate like they used to in the early beginnings of the association. So with that, with these build grants, we have 7 pillars, and as well as they call them our core projects. So each unit can apply for funding anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000 to do the work of the association, and it has to go towards advocacy. So the last 2 nights, I've been sitting up trying to figure out, because you can only apply for 1 grant, even though there's 7 different ways in which a unit can get these resources. So I've been up the last 2 nights trying to figure out and put it where we need to put those funds. A big portion of it goes towards our civic engagement. So I'm really excited about that, and unit members and the community, more to come. So,
Big stuff.
Yeah.
Grateful for your work, my
Yeah.
gosh.
yes.
Shelley, are you able to speak? Nope, she's not speaking. Okay. We're not taking it personally. But yes, the League has been carefully part of our work since the inception, because we want to make sure that we have all of the inputs, and anything that could go squirrely, we want to make sure is handled well in advance. So the League helped us secure legislation back in 2021 to have the Secretary of State's office helping local communities administer ranked choice voting, so that the software is certified, the rules are set, all of the ballot management systems are set, the audits are set. All of this is already squared away, and it's plug and play. So I'm really grateful to the League for their work.
Absolutely, and I am a League member as well. One of the things I want to say that is very important with the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People at our annual convention this year, and it's not the first time that ranked choice voting has come up, but we had a very lengthy, fiery debate about ranked choice voting. But in that stay, our resolution, we have reaffirmed and committed to the education of ranked choice voting, and which brings us here today.
And I'm so grateful for that, because the League has been, we knew from inception, we absolutely positively had to have the League. So indispensable, and I'm so grateful for this event and all the tech support and able to speak to people out through the internet. So hello, people of the internet. So let's see, and so my organization got started back in 2016, when that was the worst election we'd seen in some time. Simpler days. Yeah. But we know that this slide doesn't get better until we change something with the system, because the system is operating as intended. It's just getting worse due to, we have social media, we have more money in politics. It makes this headbutting that goes on more pronounced, and tragedies are absolutely predictable. And this is why I do this work, whether I get paid or not, because we cannot have a country sliding to civil conflict.
Right.
So people have seen movies, they think it looks, exciting. No, and the trauma, it is really hard to rebuild from that. So I'm grateful to be here and doing this. Now, and I already mentioned who I am, but there's me with my hair together. So one of the challenges we have in democracy is, our parties aren't necessarily responsive to us, because there's so many viewpoints. Closer to the mic. Okay. Hold.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So thank you, Lucia. So we don't always get the results that we have heard are going to happen. So that's one of the challenges of democracy, is our democracy is not as responsive as other modern democracies. So one of the challenges is, so this data is from the Pew Trust, and they did the deep dive into American viewpoints. Who should handle what should government be doing? They found we have 9 viewpoints, all the way from the faith and flag conservatives to the progressive left. Yes, they have a quiz you can take online. It's fun. But we can see that we have all of these viewpoints crammed into 2 parties. So both parties, within them, there's a lot of acrimony and struggle for reasons, right? And then the 2 parties themselves clash. So I did a quick analysis of, the Colorado data and then what our actual representation looks like. And this is what I found, is that 66% of people in Colorado do not have viewpoint representation at the federal level. Okay, so this is races high and low, but 19% of people fit within, at least at a compromise, within the Democratic Party, 17% into the Republicans. But 66%, no. So if you feel like you're getting shushed, and I know I do, it's because we are getting shushed. Mm-hmm. And this is okay with not, very few Democrats and Republicans are okay with this either. Right. So that's the challenge we have. And so when we're looking at how do we build a better system, right? Because our founding fathers just did what they knew, to be diplomatic about it. So they kind of copy-pasted from what was being done in England, and they knew there was a problem. They were part of the conversation. About 50 years after our Constitution was written, proportional ranked choice voting was invented. So, and it's been a struggle to get it implemented since then. But, so here's the problem. Our pick one ballots mean that we can't really vote our values, right? We find that we are afraid to vote for an underdog. If somebody more closely aligns with us, we're worried about wasting our vote. So we've already stopped negotiating by the time we get to the ballot box. So that puts us in not a powerful position. So what that yields in every country that it gets used is a 2-party duopoly. And they don't have to deliver. They simply, fight the other party and make a spectacle of it to raise money. Right. So that's why it's always, what it is. And so the reason why the ranked voting works on that is that you're free to vote your values. And that means that people are free to vote their values, but it also means more candidates can run. So more women, more people of color, closer to the mic, okay, more people of color, more women run and win in ranked choice voting. And the reason that happens is that party leaders aren't telling them to stay out of the race. Can you imagine the nerve of someone saying, oh, well, Angela, there's already another African-American woman in this race, so you can't run because you'll split the vote. As if you're bringing the same thing to the table. Right. It's just, anyway, it's appalling. But that is exactly what happens. So we have more people who can run, and you'd be surprised who is electable. Because normally there's, oh, you can't run because you're not electable. The people are much more flexible. They care about how are you cleaning up the snow? How are you cleaning up the trash? What about those potholes? So we've seen massive changes in, for instance, Minneapolis and St. Paul, where we have, there are 2 transgender people who are leading those cities. So it's like, normally you'd think, well, I don't know if this person can really run or they'll mess things. No, people do not care about that. They care, are you delivering for our community? Right. Will you have it with anybody treating us like second-class citizens? If you're not having it, thank you, we want you. Okay, so that's what ranked choice delivers. The other problem is winner take all. So this, throws more gasoline onto the partisan fire. And so what it means is, first of all, with pick one ballots, you don't even need a majority to win. You just need the most votes.
Right.
And so what we see in place after place, the viewpoints of the people are a mismatch with the people representing them. So that's the problem, is that it's winner take all. And then how we fix that is to use ranked choice so everyone gets their fair share of the say. Its technical term is proportional representation. But it's not 100% accurate, but it is a darn sight closer. So it was used in Portland recently, and 98% of the voters got viewpoint representation, either first choice or as a compromise. But very few people were left without their fair share of the say, without somebody championing what their vision for the city is. So that is what it is and why we would want to do it. And with that, I need to circle back with Patricia on the results to the poll. Okay, so we've been sharing ballots with people, and so I guess we can pop into a conversation, but you all used the ballots. Did anybody have questions on their ballots? Because they're pretty simple. First of all, and secondly, Americans never read instructions, which is, we don't. Don't feel bad that you don't, because we don't. That's why there's graphics on the ballot that show you, how to mark your first choice, your second choice, and so on. And we see that error rates are about the same or less as with pick one ballots. Mm-hmm. And there's theories about why that is. No one's holding their nose and voting the lesser evil. One possible reason. The league suggested it's because the ballot is longer, so you're going across it. We don't know. But the ballots are easy. We saw in Boulder, 87% of the people said the ballots were easy to use, and 77% were satisfied with their experience, which is radically different than how people feel about the pick one plurality voting. So.
We're still tallying.
Yeah, yep, tally is still going on. So anyway, we'll circle back to that at the end. But we wanted to show you all what the ballots look like with both single and multiple winner races. So for instance, the county commissioners here in El Paso County, there's 5 of them. They're elected on a staggered cycle, but all 5 are faith and flag Republicans. Mm-hmm. And absolutely they should have a seat at the table, particularly in Colorado Springs, but should they get all of the say?
No.
I mean, probably not, right? So we're in, one of these situations. One side is getting all the say. So, absolutely we need their inputs and their ideas, but they're getting, more than is fair. So using a ranked ballot, we'd have a 2-winner race one year, and then the next cycle, you'd have a 3-winner race. So, and this graphic here is a 3-winner race. So we get more viewpoints.
Sure. Can I say, if anyone has a question, if you can come up to the mic and address the question, because we have some people online. I think we're ready for the tally.
Okay.
I haven't done the bagels Friday without the microphone. I can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, did you? Which one did you do?
The coffee.
Coffee? Okay. Well, let's be.
Oh, wait, you're still tallying then?
Yeah, but I think let's trust in the universe, and see how it pops up.
Talk closer to your mic.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am. Did you have something before I asked?
Nope. Go ahead. I've got a spinning wheel, so.
So, does ranking a second and third choice hurt your first choice?
Excellent question. So does ranking a second choice hurt your first? No. It does not. So here's how the winner one is, let's scroll down and get it to quit animating. There we go. So we have, so it's a three-way race. So somebody voted for vanilla syrup in their coffee, and we don't have a consensus. So what we do is everybody's vote stays right where it's at. So mocha and caramel were the most popular, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say you vote caramel, you know, your vote stays right where it's at. Nothing happens, right? So it doesn't hurt you to rank a second or third. One person voted for vanilla, and so what happens is vanilla is still included. So what we do is we eliminate the candidate, we eliminate vanilla, but we don't eliminate the voter. We still want to know what they think. So when we go back to just the vanilla votes, we see, oh, it went to caramel, and because this is a small group, so it went to a coin toss, mocha won it. But it never hurts you to have a second or third choice. It's like a runoff.
So in essence, the person that voted for vanilla, their second choice was caramel. Is that why it carried over?
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. So it's like there's it's called instant runoff voting, because you do a runoff if nobody wins in the first round. If there isn't a consensus majority in the first round, then there's a runoff, and it's like, okay, well, we're going to eliminate the candidate with the least choices, but see how those voters would have voted. So you only have to turn out once. So it's, instead of having two whole elections, like for instance, Colorado Springs City Council and the mayor's race, they have a runoff and they spend, you know, between $500,000 and $1 million on a race they don't actually have to run. And they have to, you know, hit people up for money. They have to do all of this when, you know, it's not necessary. So you get more people involved. So that's one of the benefits.
All right, the spreads are ready.
Okay, but is there a question?
Yes, I had a question. How does ranked choice voting impact the way candidates campaign?
Oh, excellent question. How does ranked choice voting impact how candidates campaign? So that's a huge part. So what that means is they cannot get away with mudslinging, because they might need second choice votes to win. And you are not going to earn those if all you're doing is, you know, slinging mud. You have to talk about what your actual plans are. How are you going to get those potholes handled? How are we going to get those grants to, you know, build a better transit? How are we going to do that? You know, why don't we have more affordable housing grants coming in? You know, so if you're not talking about the issues, you don't pick up those second and third choice votes. So when they're out canvassing and they see a yard sign for a competing candidate, normally they just walk past and be like, forget to vote, forget to vote. Okay, they'd walk past. But what they do with ranked choice is they say, hey, I'm excited to see you're coming out to vote and that you're voting for so-and-so. And I'm here to talk to you about your second choice vote. And here's what I have in common with them. And let's talk about the future of our city. Let's talk about the future of our county. And so the door is literally still open to that conversation, and the campaigns actually learn a good deal about what it is people really need. So it's more of a collaborative process, because we are the experts in our own daily lives. So this is, it puts the voters in a much more powerful position, but it's a completely different type of campaigning. We literally do remedial education for the campaigns. Like, here's how you do it. Mm-hmm. So you don't say, plainly my opponent is 23. You know, obviously, my goodness, they don't know how to handle a flat tire. They don't, what life experience. Well, you wouldn't say it like that, right? You'd say, I'm really impressed by, the drive this other candidate has. Now, I do have a lot more life experience, but we know she's going to do great things in the future. So you just kind of you can still say it, but you can't be ugly about it. You have to say, just really what the facts are, why it would matter. That's the only part you go into. You don't smear. You don't do name calling.
Is there any data that shows a correlation to increased voter turnout due to ranked choice?
Yes. We've been seeing there's some new data out just in the last year that shows that more people turn out for ranked choice. It's between 10 and 15% increase, which is huge. And one of the other benefits is that the political culture changes over time. Like culture never changes quickly, right? It's just slow. But as the campaigners come to understand it, and they realize this is not a bad change, this is a very good change, because after all, the candidates are also made out of human beings. Most of them do not like the ugly campaign methods. Mm-hmm. So this is much more inclusive, even for the candidates. So that's one of the changes we see over time, but we see more non-voters are brought in because they see, oh wait, my vote really does matter, and hey, if I vote for this outlier, they might win. Mm-hmm. So, which then takes me neatly into proportional, because that's what they've been using in Mexico and we don't normally look to Mexico for innovation, but then again, what's on the dinner table, okay? Right. So they have proportional representation. Their president has an 80% approval rating. They have a new party has been developed. That's a coalition of who would normally be part of the Democratic, maybe part of the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party can decide to do whatever it wants to do. Mm-hmm. It's up to them. But the Morena Party became a majority party in 4 years, just because they were bringing in non-voters, like, hey, we can vote for what we actually do like, and we actually can win. It's worth our time to vote. So that is something we could be seeing here, is much more people-focused policies. Yeah. So that would be a huge, huge change. So I think that's why people are turning out for this more and more. Okay. And I hear the results are ready for the best bagel spread. All right. Cream cheese.
Cream cheese.
Okay, and then what's the other one gonna be? Oh, great, peanut butter. So it's gonna be cream cheese and peanut butter. Whoop, there we go. Awesome. That's how we do it. So it's just, cream cheese was very popular. What happens with those surplus votes? They go to their second choice. Then we eliminate Nutella, and of course the Nutella crowd goes to peanut butter. So that's how we know what the consensus is. That's how we build the consensus for more than one thing. Right? And yet the math for this is so simple, I can do it. And this presentation was late because I was doing struggles with computers. So you can do it in a hand count. It's not complex. So this has been used since, 1915 in Ashtabula, Ohio. So I think Cambridge is the place that uses it the longest. And what's a little history note, it was getting very popular in Ohio. Mm-hmm. And then a city council member in Cincinnati was a civil rights activist who won through this system. Mm-hmm. Pearls were clutched, and the system was revoked. Oh. Scene. Okay. So anyway, we're working to get this back because it's a multi-generational project. So we're glad to be carrying the torch for instance, Lanny Gunier. This is what she was talking about with the tyranny of the majority. This is how you make sure everyone has their fair share. And it's been used in actual peace agreements, for instance, in Northern Ireland. This is how they built peace there. And it can work here too.
Okay, thank you. Any questions out there? Yes. Hi, Mr. Longmire.
Good afternoon, I'm Woody Longmire. My question, first of all, is just what is ranked choice voting? You know, I kind of understand it a little bit, but why would I, as a registered voter, want to give myself more challenge by trying to rank folks when I know this is my candidate here? This is all I want. So if I don't vote for the others, the ranked choice, then that gives my colleagues a chance to overrule what I voted for.
That's an excellent point. So now the thing with the ranked choice is you say who you love, who you like, who you can live with. So if you think there's only one candidate who's going to represent you and everybody else is equally bad, you throw your hands up in disgust and leave the room, that's valid. You know, if you need to say that, say it, put it on the record. There's some races, I mean, I have voted for write-in candidates because, you know, I don't like the two candidates on the ballot. So that is a valid thing to say. But we encourage people, if there is someone who you think would do better than the other folks on the ballot, to go ahead and rank them. But what it does is it opens the door for there to be more representation for your viewpoint. So instead of getting no say on the county commission, you could get, you know, in a two-winner race, you know, one person instead of no people. Or in the three-winner race, you could get one or two people on county commission. And that would kind of change the way things are done in this area, because there is a little favoritism I've heard on how real estate development is done. So that's why you...
I understand everything that you're saying, but me as a voter, I don't need extra stuff to concern myself with. I see the ballot, there's 3 candidates on it, I'm gonna choose the one that I want. And that should be the end of it for everybody that's voting. And you mentioned earlier about the mayor runoff race. Well, isn't that the way it should work out? If you have the most votes, but you don't reach that 50% threshold, then you have a runoff with the ones that was closer together. And that's kind of how the ranked voting was tallied at the end.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely a runoff. It's just you don't have to have people turn out a second time. Turnout usually decreases in the second round. And so it's a little unnecessary. It also means it's putting more money into politics because the candidates have to raise money all over again. So the ones that are representing the high rollers of the community have an advantage over the grassroots candidates.
So at the end of the day, it's all about the money.
It's about getting, the power goes to the people, not to the money.
And it saves taxpayers $500,000 because we don't do runoffs.
Oh, okay, so, and I'll say it also saves the municipality well over $500,000 to not have to do a second election. But I'll also say, let's say, you know, you're turning out in a partisan race and you're like, thank you, I'm going to guess the Democrat, okay. Or, you know, whatever, or Republican. That is going to be, you know, that's your cream cheese or peanut butter here.
Well, I don't
Right.
want to monopolize the time, but I just want to say, you know, what is the benefit for me right now? I kind of like our voting way we do things.
Yeah.
Now I drop my ballot. That's the end up. If we have to go back again and vote again, so be it. I'll do it. But will we have to do some type of process to get this ranked choice voting? Do we have to have an election to say we have that, or do the powers that be at the legislative level say, well, yeah, we're going to just change over? How is that going to work?
Oh, okay. So to summarize the question, and I'll also say, voting one is always valid and okay. You're good to vote for just one. You're free. And the other thing is, how does this come to happen? And so one of the challenges, there's a couple different routes to this, because there are some places that can pass this outright. Other places have to go through the state legislature. And this is not without friends in the state legislature, because, you know, politicians can't stand how it goes on now. I mean, my goodness, Rose Puglisi just quit, right? Like she's, anyway, the majority leader in the state. So, and this happens every year. There's people who just leave the legislature because it's awful. So they understand there is a real need to change how we do politics. But there is the new Voting Rights Act here in Colorado that was just passed this session. It comes into effect in January 2026. And so communities where the people on council don't match the people in the community demographically, you can say, well, look how you drew the district lines. Look what you've done. Maybe you didn't do it on purpose. We don't have to get into that. You know, it could just be how the banks decided to do the lending. You know, you don't have to get into that. But if statistically there is a lack of demographic representation, there can be a lawsuit filed under the Voting Rights Act, and a remedy is for the jurisdiction to update to proportional ranked choice voting. So it can just be, you know, done with a pen, not dragging the voters through talking about math.
Thank you so much for responding, but I think we need a deeper discussion about
Sure.
this, because someone is going to have to carry that torch, right, to try to get this to be put in place.
Yep.
And so I don't know whether it's the legislative level in Colorado or is it the grassroots level.
Right, so, thank you, yes. So that's what we've been doing for pushing a decade, but yeah, it's absolutely a grassroots thing. Like, it doesn't happen in the legislature without the people, because it's the people who canvass for them. That's who they listen to. It's the county parties, where the people who are going out and sweating and wearing out their shoes, knocking on those doors, that's who they listen to.
Okay. Yes, I hear that, I understand that. Listening to Mr. Longmire, so are you, Ms. Templin, are you saying that we can allow legislation to happen and make it a law, or do we bring it back to the people for a ballot measure?
Right, and so
Right.
each community has its own pathway. So, like, we have had some council-referred measures. So, of course, that's our preference, because we don't have to raise a lot of money for that, frankly. So that's, and as a grassroots organization, yeah, that is a concern, right? So, you know, and one of our guides is, if it's not fair to all concerned, we do not do it, we do not support it, which means there is money out there that is not available to us, because we are not going to put a thumb on the scale. So we often take the council-referred route. We can go the petition route if we're able to raise the money for it, or there is the working things out with the city attorney, which is also fine, because we've been working with the Secretary of State's office and with the County Clerks Association for years to make sure we're not talking about a thing they can't do. They can absolutely deliver this. They've had the capacity since 2017. So yeah, it's in all of the, every county has the software that does this.
Are there other questions? Well then, any question online? Does ranked choice voting delay election results?
Excellent question, and in Colorado, no. Other states use different systems, and I'll give Alaska as an example. Those Aleutian Islands that you see trailing off, you know, towards Russia, those are connected. You cannot land a plane on those islands. You have to put ballots onto boats and boats are not fast, and you have to get them all the way down to Juneau. So it delays results in Alaska because you have to wait for the ballots to come in. But here in Colorado, it's available on the same timeline as our regular results. So they do the round by round on election night. Each batch of ballots, every release, they go through, you know, showing who's leading and who's pulling ahead and all of that. And they show the full ranking. So no, it absolutely runs on the same schedule.
Okay. Yes.
I'll repeat it.
You could repeat it. I was just wondering, you mentioned Alaska. Are there other states that are doing this?
Yes, okay, are there other states that do this? Maine. Maine does this, and they've had excellent results. Maine didn't toy with or change around their primaries. Alaska changed around their primaries. That's what the ballot measure was last fall. We are not supporting that. We did not support that. We didn't like those primaries. So there's us being like that. But yeah, the version they use in Maine is absolutely clean as a whistle, and it's been working very well. They started in Portland. Everybody knows somebody in Portland, Maine, everybody in Maine. And so they can say, do you like it, right? So as more places in Colorado are using this, we can reach out. Like, do you have a friend in Boulder or Fort Collins that you can ask? Like, did you like this or was this nonsense? So, because, I mean, what are you going to trust more than the recommendation of somebody you know personally? So that's kind of how we build towards it in a statewide system here. And I'll give a quick shout out to the Fair Representation Act. There is a bill before Congress that would use proportional ranked choice voting to eliminate gerrymandering, because you cannot really gerrymander a multi-winner district. So that's the Fair Representation Act. So anyway, had to give it the shout out.
Absolutely. So for ranked choice voting, is that just local elections, state elections? Okay.
Okay, so right now it's local elections. The County Clerks Association asked for, they didn't use the word mercy, but I heard the word mercy. Do not make us run this in 64 counties all at once our first time. We would like to use this on the local level, roll it out in county coordinated races where, like Boulder needs a mayor elected, so they have their county run the election. So that's how most places do it, and build the know-how. So there can always be lessons learned, and that it's absolutely, going to run smoothly, because if you're out in, I do pick on Jackson County, population 1,000, like, okay, do not make that clerk figure stuff out. Make it simple for them.
Okay. Other questions? None?
Excuse me, I was trying to get to the website that you have here, but it takes me to Fairfax and radio symbol cabinets and all that.
I'm sorry. Mr. Longmire, I can't hear you.
Oh, he says there's a problem with one of the websites.
Yeah, I was looking at the website on the brochure that we have on the table, rcv4colorado.org, and when I went to it, this is what I get. And I refreshed several times, so maybe you can try it on your computer. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll reach out to our web guy.
Because I really want to read about it and understand it.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's see. No,
So,
comes up on I'll text it to you. It's coming up on, anyway.
a question? It's hard enough to educate voters about when elections are happening and increase voter turnout. How can we educate voters about ranked choice voting and increase voter turnout?
Okay, excellent question. So part of the voter education is done by the campaigns themselves. So if I were running, I would say, well, vote for me number one, thank you, you know, I have great ideas, but also rank Angela number 2 because she brings a lot of knowledge and you'd be in good hands with her. And so that lets the voters know they should think about their second rankings, like who do you like about, you know, who do you love, who do you like, who can you live with? If you don't like them, don't rank them. So that's part of the voter education piece of the puzzle. And also community just for fun elections, the beer and pizza elections have introduced me to new dress sizes, but I'm not complaining. It's been fun.
All right. The next one, did El Paso County Clerk and Recorder volunteer to be subjects?
So we've worked with the Colorado County Clerks Association, and actually the prior El Paso County clerk had a lot of feedback, and it was like, wait, slow down, let me write more notes. Everything you need, we want to make sure you have, right? So they will not, if El Paso County signed this tomorrow and the clerk had to do it, no, he would not be anything like a test subject. This has already been done in Boulder. This is being done in Larimer County. Okay. So, no, this is not, testing on people. This is well proven. It's been used for over 100 years, and it gets used in most modern democracies. So.
We have time for 2 more questions. Yes, Mr. Longmire.
It's just so important if you're trying to get folks to understand things and you go to dead ends when you hit it, that brochure probably needs to be updated because she just shared with me what the actual website is. It's RCB4, not the number 4, but the word F-O-R and the whole spelling of Colorado.org.
Oh, okay. Now I get what happened. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Can a candidate with the most place votes lose?
The most place votes, first place votes?
First place votes lose.
It happens about 95% of the time, whoever has the most first place votes wins, right? Okay. So that's what happens. Sometimes there's a come from behind victory. Every now and then that happens. And
like that.
Oh, that's a multi-winner, but no, these two, the most won, and then this is a 2-winner race, so the second most won. I'll say in, it's pretty rare, but one of the problems we have with people who win in the plurality system, and let me try to hop to the, there we go. So let's say in some towns, the person with most first choice, or the person wins, but they did not have a majority. So they're coming into office in a weak position. There are their entire terms, people making snarky comments about, well, you only won because so-and-so was in the race, you know. Okay. And I'll pick on Bill Clinton. Did Clinton earn that win? We will literally never know, because what would the Ross Perot voters have wanted? So in Colorado, probably not Bill Clinton. So like, was that really a fair win? And, you know, did people feel bitter about that?
I'm sorry, because when you started and you said Clinton, I was thinking of Hillary.
Oh! Bill Clinton, sorry.
Okay.
No, we're going further back, I mean,
Okay.
not all the way.
All right.
George Clinton, no, yeah. And the W.
George W. Bush with Ralph Nader.
Yeah.
Right. Ralph Nader was a vote splitter. So you want to make sure that the winner truly earns the win. Normally, let's say, you know, whoever's leading at the end of the first round almost always wins, but they don't have to go into office with toilet paper on their shoe, that they only got in because somebody else was in the race. This runoff proves who earned it. So yeah, 5% of the time, the number 2 candidate takes the lead because, you know, Nutella and chocolate, you know, Nutella and peanut butter. Yeah. Yes, if somebody gets over 50% of the vote, we're done. That happens in half of the races. It's very anticlimactic. That's why we always have very competitive, just for fun races with really tasty food. But yeah, usually somebody's done in the first round.
Okay. Any other questions? Julie? Miss Ott?
Does the recounting or the additional calculation, does that cost anything extra? I mean, we talked about time, but, and I wouldn't think so if it's all computer-based, but I could see the recalculating, meaning maybe election workers have to be there a little extra long and that costs money, but are there any additional costs like that?
Okay. Are there additional costs for this extra level of calculation? So all of the calculations are done by computers and then double-checked by humans as part of our audit process. So that part happens. There's no difference in cost. It's still election judges looking at things. It doesn't particularly take extra time. It does take a little extra time with some of the voters who want to feel really confident with how they're handling their ballots. So it's just plan to have an extra person at each vote center who will talk through the details with everybody who needs to talk through the details. But it does not, in the overall cost of the election, it doesn't really change it. The software license, there's a cost to it, but there is cost sharing. So very small places only pay a small amount, because if you're, 1% of the voters using it that year, you only pay 1% of the cost. So we made sure that we weren't going to put small places in a bind price-wise. So it's there's also, Senator Bennett has been trying to get this worked into the Help America Vote Act, where half of the cost would be paid for by the federal government. So.
Does ranked choice voting help Democrats or Republicans more than the other party?
Who does it help? Who does it help? Is this going to help the Democrats or the Republicans? Well, it helps the people, right? It helps the people. It doesn't help one party more than the other. It means there isn't going to be a Green Party spoiler. There isn't going to be a Libertarian spoiler. So, yep, it doesn't help or hurt any of the parties. Now, it helps the parties be less, I'll be rude and say toxic, because I think we can go there, this week with that. So it might help the parties in the long run. And we are not anti-party, because parties are how regular people organize to get their needs met. So we always want to make sure that they're well supported. Yes. Ma'am.
Do you have any recommended reading if we wanted to learn more in depth about this stuff?
Yes. Okay. So there is a great book called Breaking the Two-Party Doom Loop by Lee Drutman. So he published this in 2020. So Breaking the Two-Party Doom Loop, Lee Drutman, D-R-U-T-M-A-N. And we were so happy when he published this, because it was like, see, this is what we were saying. This is what we've been saying since 2016, and now here's a political scientist saying it in 2020. So, and he's very active on Twitter X. So if you are into the social media world, yeah, give him a follow, because he's always talking about proportional representation and how we're going to build a more robust democracy, and what the doom loop is doing to our country, because yeah, it's been a rough last 10 days.
Sounds great to me. But my question is there a downside? Is there unintended consequences that we haven't looked at?
Let's see, unintended consequences. So now the number one unintended consequence is that it changes the campaign style. So, because it was made to be more fair to the voters, but it was a side effect that the voters had to change, the campaigns have to change their style. So if there's a downside to it, it's that some of the campaigners don't want to change. We're here for them changing. You know, we want to support them, but, you know.
Is it all or nothing? Can you have primary that use RCV and then the general election don't?
Oh,
It's all
okay.
or nothing. Because with New York right now, the guy clearly won.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had to rank choice voting, rank voter choice, whatever way it is,
Yeah, yeah.
in that situation there, the outcome probably would have been totally different because he has 46, the other has 24, and the other one has 9. So
Yeah, so it's, more democracy is always better. So, yeah, we like it when it's more consistent, and it's certainly best in the general election. In the November election, it should be ranked choice. But it would help, for instance, I'll pick on the presidential primaries. Candidates drop out all the time. The last time the Democrats held a primary was 2020, and they had Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar drop out the day before the Colorado primary. People had already mailed in their ballots. So there was like 150,000 voters who were left out. And if we'd used a ranked ballot, they would have been protected, because if you eliminate the candidate, you don't eliminate the voters.
Okay. In a minute, because we have to wrap up, can you leave us with some lasting words?
Yeah. You know, this system has been used to build peace, literally, in several countries, but particularly Northern Ireland. It was part of the Good Friday Agreement. They had a little bit of this in a few places, and they said, we absolutely need to expand this. And it's done wonderful things for their governance there, because they're not the orange versus the green, you know, butting heads the way they used to be. Now people are more free to express themselves, you know, like what their viewpoints are, not what their which church their grandparents went to, right? So this is part of building the peace, and that's my great hope for this, is that here we're going to build something worth passing on to our young'uns.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you so much for having me.
Sure, it's been a pleasure talking with you today. On your tables, you will find a flyer that explains a little bit more about ranked choice. I do think Linda did a fabulous job. And then we also have some flyers about the school board elections that are happening here in El Paso County. And know who is supporting or advocating for our children so that we can advocate. All right. And we will be closing out. I thank you for joining us today. Fantastic.